Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free? And the home of the brave.
Oh man,
It's
that was
over.
painful. Uh,
Hey, Amos.
Hi
What a good
guys,
start
how's
into
it?
the week, right?
That is
Yeah.
perfect ending to the week. That was the him sang at the CPAC, hitting a sore note as the rest of the conference. So
Yeah. I think it's when I came up with the idea to put this video on yesterday. I thought to myself, after I looked at our topics for today, I said, "Well, this is perfect. This is a perfect resume of the past week we saw, right?" And first of all, hello to you all. I hope you're doing fine and everyone is well up. Let's see who we have on chat. And I would like to say hello to Dan McCartney, to Jilly Love. Yes, and I hope some others will join us also on chat. And um, before we go live, I think before we go into the topics, I think we should talk about something very serious, which concerns the super chat and the donations by YouTube at all. And there's a request we have to make for you all. As we are experiencing difficulties, which means that the payments from YouTube are not coming as they should, respectively, what our super chat donations concern. We don't get the money because YouTube blocks us because we are using little video clips of stuff, as you know. And we don't want to cut ourselves what our work considers, and we don't want to put a muzzle on us, and so we would like to ask you not to donate by super chat or any other means which is done by YouTube. Please don't do this. We will make up our minds, and maybe we'll find another solution that we introduce a Patreon link in one of our next shows. But at this moment, it makes no sense to do this via YouTube. At this, how we are talking about this, I would like to thank you all for the donations you already gave. It's absolutely generous from you, and we really appreciate it. And it's wonderful to know that you're with us. And okay. Let's talk about today's show. And
do you want to
we got a
mention the
lot.
slide behind us?
The slide behind us, it's obviously it's Mr. Potato Head, Mrs. Potato Head, I don't know. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Well, at least there is one party which cares. The GOP. They don't have anything else to do than starting another debate, discussion, or whatever you want to call this, about cancel culture, about identity politics, and well, the bullshit accumulated this week in several actions, as we will see in a moment, and it's pretty hilarious. And this is why I came up, with the quote from Joe Biden when he was addressing Texas, and that they are lifting the masks literally. Then he referred to it as Neanderthal thinking, and well, we will also talk about this and why this comparison is not accurate. We will talk about Neera gone far away, and I miscorrected it here. It should be written far away, and Amos will tell us more about what's behind it. Exactly, that's how it should look like. Well, after this, we have a German topic, and there was something important happening this week in Germany. The radical right-wing party AfD is now under surveillance. At least it was for one day. We will talk about this, and I also will introduce to you the leading figures at the moment and what they stand for. And it is free for you to compare in how this is matching with the situation in the US. Next topic would be yes, the other scandal, in my opinion. After force the vote for Medicare, for single payer and Medicare for all. Well, the next blow, is the 15 minimum wage, um, which we saw the Democrats did not pass the bill, not completely, not with the 15 minimum wage included. Um, well, as I said, the national anthem at the beginning is not only standing for the Republican Party, also for the Democratic Party, and it's a perfect picture. It's a perfect audio picture, if you want, so of what happened this week. Both parties again uh, showed themselves that they are nothing else but a waste of skin. Uh, but anyway, Amos, before we start, how was your week?
Well, it's a usual COVID week. We're continuing to roll.
Yes. All right. Okay, let's start with our first topic. It is, yeah, the GOP, potatoes, books, and Neanderthals. And it is quite funny that this discussion comes up because at my hometown, at the place where I used to live, it is only 10 miles away from the Neanderthal, the actually place where they found the Neanderthal, and it's quite funny, and I found this picture, I think it's taken from a museum where they have prehistoric departments, and well, you know, I was I was saying at the beginning, that the comparison, that the behavior of the mask deniers in Texas are Neanderthal thinking is not quite accurate because, as you see here, the Neanderthal in this picture says it, what the fuck? We just moved on. We just didn't move on, and this is exactly the point. The Neanderthals didn't move on, and the Republicans, or especially the part of the Republicans of the GOP, which denies masks, they are not moving on. They are moving back, and this is why the comparison is not quite accurate. And this is why there is no reason to get enraged about this, But as you can imagine, and as you know, if you follow what's going up, it didn't come out like this. It all started with a guy, who we know as one part of Beavis and Butthead. It is Jim Jordan, and well, came up with the great idea. If you can show the next slide, please, slide 7. He came up with the brilliant idea, and if Amos can move his head away, I made a little joke. Yes, here it is. Well, he gave his people the Kool-Aid to drink, and he came up with the excellent suggestion to have a debate, a serious debate about cancel culture. And this is when things got into rolling. And it was only about cancel culture the whole week and identity politics, and and he wrote a letter, and in this letter he says, let me see, cancel culture is a dangerous phenomenon, whether you agree or disagree with the views being censored. Our society must always promote the free exchange of ideas, not cancel the ideas with which we disagree. If cancel culture continues unchallenged, it is not just the unpopular, controversial viewpoints that are at risk. Every viewpoint and every idea, whether widely accepted or now or not, runs the risk of eventually failing into disfavor with the ever-changing standards of cancel culture. What? If you remember back, what what kind of politics of policies guys like Jim Jordan followed and suggested, and now he's worried about cancel culture, and there's nothing more important. We are still in the middle of a pandemic. We know that Texas are literally open its borders for the virus right now. We have Florida, we have spring break of also coming, and holy shit! And there is nothing else to do right now. Not to talk about the financial crisis, about what's going on the financial sector. It is absolutely crazy, and he has nothing better to do than pushing a debate about cancel culture. It is so crazy, in my opinion, and well, it took things got a little bit rougher after this. Most people were laughing at Jim Jordan and his suggestion, and as I know, it also didn't pass, right, Amos? And
Right.
it was brushed away, and and then came Joe Biden into the play, and if you can run the video, please.
Message to Texas. Texas and Mississippi.
Texas, I think it's a big mistake. Look, I hope everybody's realized by now, these masks make a difference. We are on the cusp of being able to fundamentally change the nature of this disease because of the way in which we're able to get vaccines in people's arms. We've been able to move that all the way up to the end of May to have enough for every American, every adult American to get a shot. And the last thing we need is the Neanderthal thinking that in the meantime, everything's fine, take off your mask, forget it. It still matters. I carry a card with me, I don't have it, I put it on my desk. As of yesterday, we had lost 511,874 Americans. We're gonna lose thousands more. This will not occur, we'll not have everybody vaccinated until sometime in the summer. We have the vaccine to do it. Getting a shot in someone's arm and getting a second shot, you're gonna take time. And it's critical that they follow the science. Wash your hands, hot water, do it frequently. Wear a mask and stay socially distanced. And I know you all know that. I wish the heck some of our elected officials knew it. So thank you very much.
Thanks, guys, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah. There we have the Neanderthals in the game, and I don't know why I'm looking like a 70s soft porn movie. You see, I'm blurred somehow. Well, I hope this goes away. Anyway, there is Marco Rubio coming around the corner, and we know him. He's a very enthusiastic young man, and he's complaining. He's complaining about what Joe Biden said, and he said President Biden's use of an old stereotype is hurtful to modern Europeans, Asians, and Americans who inherit about 2% of their genes from the Neanderthal ancestors. He should apologize for his insensitive comments and seek training on unconscious bias. I think if you argument like this, you can definitely also prove that everyone who is on this earth also has 2, 3, or more percent of African genes in him, or herself, or her, or I don't know. I think this is a Rubio. This is a real Rubio. He's pressing forward. Look what I can. I can stick my thumb up my ass. And what he delivers is absolutely nothing burger. And well. But in the end, he pushes the conversation again into the cancel culture identity thing, and well, we cannot spare her out. She also got supported. He also got supported by, yeah, Meghan McCain. Yeah, you go on. Yeah, there's Meghan, and she also feels offended by what he says, and there's a quote. She was on the crazy show The View. There she is. You guys can laugh and say, okay, it's a joke, whatever. But Republicans across the country always feel people on the left think they are dumb rednecks. They are just stupid deplorables in baskets. And well, I would put it like this, if you are not stupid deplorable in baskets, then don't behave like this when it comes to science and to avoiding getting a coronavirus or spreading it, right? And she goes on, it's not going to help Republicans be more tribal and think we're just deplorable Neanderthals. The left has no place for us, so there's no unity whatsoever. Well, I talked about the deplorable Neanderthals. They would describe themselves a little bit different in comparison with the Republicans, I can guarantee.
I think they would be highly offended. But actually, I'm 29%. I have 29% according to my DNA tests. But yeah, I'm offended to be compared to some of these Republicans.
Yes, yeah, of course, and crazy bet, if they would put any Republican senator in the environment of a Neanderthaler, he would not survive 3 days. Anyway, as you can imagine, it did not end. No, by far not. It went on. The next victim is Mr. Potato Head, or Potato Head, as he has to be called now. I really don't give a fuck what it is. A toy, and to me it looks quite stupid, but I'm not a kid. I don't have to play with it. Maybe kids like it, but the discussion is not about if whether kids like it or not. It is about his identity. Is Mr. Potato a male or a female? I think these are the very important topics of our time for the Republicans to cover, right? To discuss, and well, and the outrage was big when the company decided, to take the Mr. away from Potato Head. I nearly said Pothead. And it's, there was one guy, I found David Brody, CBN. He's a director of CBN, and yeah, he puts the religious card in it. There are only 2 genders, male and female. That's it. If you have an issue with that, just open the Bible. It's right there in black and white. Hashtag Mr. Potato Head. Yeah. This demanded a response, and the response came from Jill Filipovich, who is an author, and she asked the question, so how do we know Mr. Potato Head's gender is male? Is it because he has a penis? Is it because he has XY chromosomes? Or is it because he calls himself Mr.? And so we should all respect his stated identity? A lot of questions, a lot of very important questions. But the most important question was raised by Bette Midler. And she says, hashtag Hasbro announced they are removing Mr. from Mr. Potato Head's label, but that Mr. and Mr. Potato Head will still exist. I can't believe people are worried about that when they should be worried about is how you store a bunch of dismembered body parts in the potato's ass. I think this nails the discussion about it, because it is far from being ridiculous, right?
Well, let's remember that it was the toy company that made the decision, and
Yes,
to kind of
yes.
like blame it on Democrats is just the icon of stupidity.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, it is a clear signal of what we have to expect in the next couple of years from the Republicans. They will block everything, and in most cases, the argument would be would be identity politics, culture. And you can already. I mean, when Trump was president, it was right at the beginning to see, uh, Trump, who is not a guy who is at home in the world. He's only at home in his in his quarter, if you want so, right, where he's existing. He's taking away all the action from abroad mostly. He's concentrating everything on his home country, right? And he wants to get back into a decade or century, I don't know. uh, but they want to have the say in their country. This is our country, and we decide in what direction we go. And this is exactly what it is all about with the identity cancel culture politics stuff. It is they are feeling that they are losing the say. you know and well,
Yeah, from where I stand, it looks to me like these debates are kind of silly in a way. But let's remember that it was Steve Bannon and some Republicans that said that whoever is going to work on identity politics is going to lose, and he was referring to Democrats. It's now the Republicans who are primarily waging the identity warfare, identity culture warfare, by pretending that this is some sort of democratic idiom or dictate. When in reality it's the society and its companies that are making decisions based on the current spirit of the time. You can agree or disagree, but it's not something that a political party is forcing on anyone. So I think they're heading. It's clearly a matter of like distracting the public, distracting it from the real questions and issues of morality around slavery wage, and such things that are affecting everyone or a great part of its population. And it's I don't know if that's gonna work. If it is, it's very sad.
yeah, it is. Well, but I think it is exactly what they are concentrating on. And we're coming later to this. If you see that even a majority of Republicans support a $15 minimum wage. And you see the outcome. You see who in the Republican side voted for it and who did not. I think this explains everything, right? And well, but it still did not end. The story about cancel culture, identity politics. Dr. Seuss comes into the game. I'm not familiar with this guy. Um, but my girlfriend knows him, and she also knows his books. And um, we talked about this yesterday, and she says that the most important thing is the mind you have, and read those books. If you read those books with an already if you want a poisoned mind, there, it causes exactly these critical things, somehow. But this is only one side. We had the same discussion here also in Germany when it comes to other children's books, which also needed an overhaul because they had stereotypes in it which are not accordingly the times we are living today in, right? And there was also a big outcry, and there were many people, who felt offended, who grew up with those books, who who did not have any understanding why this should change, because they felt themselves not to be racist at all, and those folks didn't influence them to be racial and stuff. It is. I can understand what they're from where their people from where those people are coming, but why should we put a tradition? Should we give a tradition further, which has some falsehood in it? Why shouldn't we correct it and put it in a different way, in a way which suits our thinking today, right? And it is a very deep discussion, but what the discussion about was that the company decided to distract. I think it was 9 books from from the work of Dr. Seuss because of those stereotypes, etc. And there was again the big outcry, that they are stealing stuff, which we are used from when we were young. We grew up with it, and people are afraid that there is something that is taken from them, and they maybe feel also accused somehow, for having read this when they were young, and I don't know, I think in my opinion, I think it is wrong to give a tradition further which is hurtful for others. It is that easy, and I think every child understands this, and but the discussion, it had it went on, and there's also Kevin McCarthy, the minority leader of the House, who made a stunt, reading one of the books. It was one of the books who were not indexed by the company. Yes, just for provocation, and you ask yourself, don't these people have anything more important to do while they are doing these stunts around Mr. Potato Head, Dr. Seuss, and the cancel culture debates? And I don't get it. I just don't get it, and I think everyone who is Republican, and who has a little bit of reality thinking, of who sees what's going on. I don't know how you can vote for such a Republican Party or support this party. They're delivering nothing. And
Well, talking about
well,
culture, talking about cancel culture, they're the ones who want to cancel votes. I think that's worse.
this is the other coin in the discussion. If you follow the massive attempts of the GOP to prevent voters from casting their votes, it's breathtaking, and that they don't have the shame, to talk about cancel culture. On the other hand, it is absolutely hilarious, and it shows how deep it's a valley between Republicans and I think Democrats, or no, I don't want to say Democrats, but democratic thinking people, and I don't know, what was your take? I talked a long time right now, and Amos, what was your take from this week when you saw all this coming step by step, and one day after another came another topic?
Yeah, I just think that's nonsense. That's designed to take people's attention from what's really going on, and pretend that it's some evil scheme that Democrats are involved in. And Barbara, by the way, you may be relieved. The titles that you mentioned are not the ones that are pulling from. They're lesser known titles that are being pulled.
As I say, I did not grow up with them, but we found some nice cartoons, who also address this topic, and yeah, there we see. It's a nice rhyme, you know. I do not like to cancel Zeus. In culture war, I don't like truth. I do not like it when things change. I do not like to feel I'm strange. It is my right to see and like an unkind racial stereotype. Yeah, and as I said, you know, the little girl is sitting there and wondering what the fuck. She said, "No, what the fuck? What the hell is he talking about? You know, what does he mean? You know?" And
Yeah.
I think children are more open and are getting what is it about, you know, than what the so-called adults are performing right now on a special political side, at least. Right, the next one, yeah, yeah, this is yeah. What do you mean? You have no idea if the eggs are cage-free? Yeah, and this is also the other side of this, you know. Um, which I have to criticize. There is also it is sometimes, in my opinion, a little bit too hyper around this, right? And in parts, I can understand why people cannot follow this anymore because the speed is too fast for them, yeah, right? And in some parts, it is really getting ridiculous, like in this cartoon, you know. And we should be a little bit careful, you know. I mean, I don't want to start a discussion about political correctness, but we will do this at another time, I guess. It is better. Well, yeah, more updated. Dr. Seuss, Horton hatches for a plot. I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. We are for voters, fraud, lies, 100%. Nice. And yeah, still unpublished, you know. I don't know if
How
we
the
get them.
Grinch stormed the Congress.
Yeah.
Do you live in the building? Horton hears a cue, and Mr. Brown can't vote. Can you?
Exactly. Cancel culture. And of course, it's the hat. Yeah. It is from one. The hat was the cat's hat from one of his books.
Yes, Cat in
I
the
think,
Hat.
right?
Yes.
This was Cat in the Hat. Okay, okay. Yeah. Oh my God, I did not know this. I did not see it yet. Oh my God. Yeah.
New but not
Good.
improved.
Yeah.
And this is good commentary. What? It comes from the nice little house on top above the bridge where these homeless people are living. They're gonna make Mr. Potato Head gender neutral? News like that makes me worry about this country. And that's exactly
And-
what
and-
we were talking about.
Absolutely. And what worries me, a week ago, I watched a video on YouTube. You know, it showed a bicycle rider, you know, who took me on a ride. I think it was 1.6 miles or 2 miles, and the bike to the left and the right, tents, little huts, tents, cars, tents, little huts. Thousands of people are living in the streets, and this was only one example. All right, and yeah, but thanks God we got the GOP, right? And thanks God we got to get rid of Neera Tandon. Amos, it's yours.
Well, whoever was paying attention this week to the news, and I'm sorry for the awful pun, but I couldn't resist it. Basically, I wanted to go over it a little bit. She basically had to eventually pull her nomination because there was not only opposition from progressives, and actually less was from progressives, even though she went after Bernie Sanders and progressives quite a bit. But there was opposition from Manchin as well. So she basically had to withdraw. Biden said they they would find a good position for her in the Democratic Party, in the administration eventually, something that would suit her. But for the time being, she's gone. And yeah, it's just it's kind of bittersweet that it wasn't the progressives that got her out, but probably more so the conservatives in the party. So I don't know. It's what do you think about that?
I'm glad she's gone. I'm glad she's gone. As I said last week, for me the striking argument was that she suggested a war crime in Libya, right?
Yep.
Taking their oil, and that's it. That for me was the cream on the cake, and it was not about her tweets, and this made her, in my opinion, not qualified for any office, But we also learned that Biden is trying to get her into his administration somehow in another form, but well.
And this was
It's good that she did not get the office she was considered for.
And this was after the Biden administration has announced that they would fight tooth and nail to get her into the position, which they haven't done for the $15 minimum wage.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's all I have about Neera, our friend.
All right. So we will have a look at Germany right now, and we'll have a close look at the alternative for Germany, which is the right-wingers party. And in this week, something which we in Germany expected for quite a long time, or for quite a time, finally happened. And well, the German. Oh, let's to introduce. Oh no, let's talk about the AfD at first. They started as a party campaign as Germany's membership in the euro, of our currency, and they were hijacked more and more over the years. They got several changes in the leading of the party, and it got more and more right. And now it is, in my opinion, a radical right party, and our Verfassungsschutz, which is the office which protects the German constitution, ended their examination and came to the conclusion that they have to observe the party in the future because of their right-wing structures and theories and slogans, among others, and it was a document which had more than 1,000 pages, full of accusations. And if you are a little bit familiar with what happens here in Germany, you know that there were already at least 2 people killed from those right-wingers. Of course, the AfD calls them they were disturbed, single-acting criminals. They had no connection to the party. But of course, the tone in Germany changed, especially since the AfD became one of the most prominent opposition parties here, and they are trying the same what we saw in America with the Republicans. It is much about the tone, and dog whistles, and they are doing the exact same strategy here in Germany, and this is one of the reasons why the Verfassungsschutz, the office to shelter our constitution, decided to put them under surveillance. There is a short clip coming from France 24, and they give more information on what is happening here in Germany right now.
Dealing a blow to Germany's far-right AfD, intelligence services are now formally monitoring the party for having suspected links to right-wing extremism, drawing words of support from German lawmakers.
Against the backdrop of our experience in German history, I can understand fully that the Office for the Protection of the Constitution has designated the AfD as a suspected case of far-right extremism.
According to German weekly Der Spiegel, intelligence agents will be allowed to shadow the party, tap its communications, use undercover informants and scrutinise funding. The move follows a 2-year investigation outlined in a report containing some 1,000 pages of evidence. It includes speeches and statements made by AfD members at all levels, which are expected to provide evidence that the party undermines democratic values. The party has employed openly anti-Islamic and anti-establishment rhetoric. Also under scrutiny are party members affiliated with a radical but now dissolved faction of the AfD, as well as its links to right-wing extremist organisations. The far-right anti-immigration party was propelled into parliament in Germany's 2017 federal elections. 4 years on, and the AfD has become the leading opposition party in the Bundestag. Latest surveys show its popularity at between 9 and 11%. The AfD says it's being targeted in an attempt to damage the party's electoral chances, with national elections just 6 months away.
We see this as an absolute scandal. Clearly this was politically motivated, especially in view of the 2 upcoming state elections and the federal election, as we have said again and again.
Germany's intelligence service says that elected AfD lawmakers in the national, regional or European parliaments would be excluded from the monitoring.
Yeah, this is the report from France 24, and well, it sends a clear signal that in Germany, we will show a bit later a poll about this, how the Germans think about this, that our Verfassungsschutz took 2 years to investigate this, and as I said, there are numerous examples, and I don't know what they got in those more than 1,000 pages, but we got only some prominent quotes, you know, from the leading figures here. And if you start with 35, please. We have, for example, the party leader Alexander Gauland here. He's the co-chairman right now, and he says he was referring to a football player here in Germany who is a world champion, Champions League champion, and multiple domestic champion. And he is black. He has black skin, and he referred to him that someone like Boateng. Nobody wants someone like Boateng as a neighbor because of his dark skin. And he also argued Germany should close its borders, and said of an image showing a drowned refugee child, we can't be blackmailed by children's eyes. If you remember, a couple of years ago, there was a little boy drowned in the sea, and he was shown later when he was lying there, and it was a terrible picture. I think it was photo of the year because it was so dramatical. It showed in what condition the refugees were at that time, and this guy comes over in a cynical way you cannot top, in my opinion, and he said we can't be blackmailed by children's eyes. This is the leading figure, one of the 2 leading figures of the party, and this is not the only thing he came up with. He was also referring to a parliament colleague from the Social Democratic Party, and he suggested that Aydin Özgür should be disposed back to Anatolia. And the term Entsorgen was used in this context, and Entsorgen is clear Nazi language, which was used during the Nazi regime, you know, to get rid of the Jews, you know. And this is exactly what I said before, the dog whistles, which are everywhere in their speeches, you know. And you know this from the Republican Party, from the radicals, from the right-wing radicals in your country. It is the same tactics, you know. And we got another example where he's referring to the Nazi regime, you know, and he's talking about Germany. He says a glorious history, and one that lasts a lot of longer than those damn 12 years. Hitler and the Nazis are just a speck of bird shit in over 1,000 years of successful German history. At this point, Amos, I would like to hear your opinion. What do you think when a German comes up with this? What do you think?
You know, it's just outrageous. But you know, let's put this into context. You have this problem with a major opposition party, which is awful. We in the United States have to contend that from the only opposition party, or the only party that's an alternative to another party. So think of it that way. If there were only two parties in Germany, and this was one of the parties, can you imagine the horror of that? And this is pretty much the situation we're in the United States. So you know, it's tough.
Yes, yes, and you absolutely nailed it here. You know, this is only in quotation marks an opposition party here. We got a few parties here. We got the Green Party, we got the Left Party, the Social Democrats, the Democratic parties. We at least it is, you know, we can talk about the quality of the choice, but in the end we got a choice, you know, and this is you're absolutely right. This is the big difference. You have a Republican Party which is turning more and more into absolute a right radical party. And if you see the forces which are working on it, Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, Jim Jordan, and whoever they are, that McCartney guy with the book reading, you know, it's dramatic, and it's more dramatic if you know that on the other hand, you don't have no one who is fighting for you. And I think I cannot imagine how it feels, but it would drive me absolutely crazy. And we can go over and over again, over and over the quotes. One quote is more cynical and bitter than the other, you know. And maybe one last one. Let me see what we got here. Yeah, here the last one, the slide 43. Andrew Poggenberg, you know, there's a quote. He's talking about measures against the extreme left wing. And he talks about to get rid of once and for all this rank growth on the German racial corpus. The latter term clearly derived from Nazi terminology. This is exactly what they're trying here, you know, dog whistling. And the good thing about it is that the latest polls show that a good portion of Germans are not agreeing with it. Oh, I'm frozen. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I was frozen for a moment.
You have a problem with the time-space continuum.
I have? Okay.
Apparently.
Okay, yes, I see what you mean, yeah. Yeah. Well, to make things short, I don't want to go into every detail of the article, but fact is that on Wednesday, it was decided that the alternative for Germany is under surveillance of the Office for Protection of the German Constitution. And one day later, it was withdrawn. It is unbelievable but true. Slide 49. The next day, the German court suspends surveillance of far-right AfD for now. Okay, I gotta clear this up. This is not as dramatic as it sounds. It is because there was an agreement between the AfD and the Office for the Protection of the German Constitution, which included that it should not be published yet, because there's another trial they are having at another court. And unless the other court did not decide yet, it should not be published. But it came out the same day, and so the court in Cologne decided that the surveillance has not to take action, has not to take place, but they have to wait until the court has made the decision for the other case, which is connected to this one. And so. For now, there is no surveillance, but honestly, the majority here in Germany clearly expects that the Cologne court comes to the same conclusions, and that the surveillance will continue as soon as the judge made up their mind. And there's another one I would like to show you. This is in slide 48. How do the Germans see the decision to put the party under surveillance? And you can see here 58% say this is absolutely right to do this. 12% say it is right to do this. 8% it is wrong. 15% say it's absolutely wrong, and 7% are undecided. So you can see you got about 23% of those who were questioned in this poll are opposing the decision to put the party under surveillance. And I think it is a good sign that you got 70% of Germans who think it is time, and it is absolutely correct, because it is a no-go. Because there's too much happened around this party, and there were too many victims so far, and it should end, you know. And they should know that every step is now supervised.
And I believe their argument is mainly that they're being persecuted as a political party, which is undemocratic, correct?
Yes, exactly. We are in an election year. You know that Angela Merkel is leaving in fall, and in October, I guess September, October, we have our new elections, and of course they feel threatened by this, and of course it's they're playing the role of the victim in this. But you got to know that this. The timing might be not the best, but it is already very late. We expected this to happen already last year, you know, and it was held back. Partially, it was held back from the inner minister Seehofer here in Germany, who is also a more very conservative type of guy, to describe it like this. And it was not the mistake of the Verfassungsschutz, of the office, but it was delayed, you know, and now it was the time, you know, to go to make the decision, right? And we will see what happens. I'm very optimistic that in a few weeks the office of to protect the Constitution will get into action.
And in a way, you're lucky that this is just one of many parties, and people can see through it and say that it's not a political power grab. In the U.S., it's different because you have just one other party. So if you're just imagine they would put Republicans under surveillance and stuff like that, they would definitely claim that it's a dictatorship, that they're trying to enforce a dictatorship in the United States. So it's a very problematic situation we're in.
And to give you an impression of what if you would like to compare the AfD with a party in America, you know, they are very similar to what the Republicans nowadays stand for.
Yeah.
You know, to give you an impression, the Republicans, the American Republicans, would be under surveillance in Germany from our office to protect the Constitution. You know, to get the idea what's going on here in Germany behind, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So let's we are talking about a wrecked week, you know, and we talked about the Republicans, how they decided to create their working week, and now we are talking about the Democrats.
All right, so yeah, this whoever there's if you remember last week we were talking about the parliamentarian and how they were trying to figure out whether they could still put the bill for the minimum wage, $15 minimum wage, under the budget reconciliation process that's attached to the COVID relief bill. And we were urging Bernie to do that in spite of the parliamentarians' recommendations, which he had. And there was talk about having Kamala Harris overrule the parliamentarian and keep it in the bill, this amendment in the bill. She has refused to come down on that side. But either way, it is probably irrelevant, because they had a vote this week whether to keep this bill, whether to keep it, to vote on it, not even about the amendment itself, but whether to vote on the amendment. And 8 Democrats joined the Republican bloc. All Republicans, of course, voted, and plus 8 Democrats voted to remove this amendment from the bill. Now, why were we saying that this bill was supposed to go into this COVID relief bill? It's not because necessarily it's 100% related to COVID, but because it is an incentive, it is a help to the American people, and this appears to be the only time that it may be possible to pass such a bill in the next 4 years. So if they're not able to pass it in this time, it's probably not going to happen, and that is why this was so critical. And we have had these people just basically trash it, throw the bill in the dumpster, and you have these people to thank for it. If you live in any of these states, you've absolutely no excuse to call these offices and pressure them to change their position on this bill, although it may be too late, but they should feel the pressure. It's Joe Manchin from Wisconsin, is it? Well, that's right, West Virginia. John Tester from Montana. Jean Shaheen from New Hampshire. Also Maggie Hassan from New Hampshire. Angus King from Maryland. Kristen Sinema from Arizona. Tom Carper from Delaware, and Chris Coons from Delaware. And it's not a coincidence probably that 2 of those came from states from the state of that is Biden's state, and his very weak signals that of support for this bill kind of probably indicate that he as well wasn't completely committed for the $15 bill. If he wanted to, I'm sure they could twist their arms off the senators from his own state, but that has not happened. So these people have pretty much voted to skip that rule, and even though some of them have been publicly talking in favor of it, in practice they have refused to. So we have Joe Manchin here. You wanna?
Yeah, and he says, I'm supportive of an increase that's responsible and reasonable. And in my state, that's $11. Manchin told congressional reporters, adding that the rate should account for inflation.
Yeah.
For how many years did the inflation already go? I read a report in which an average normal wage should be around $24, right?
Yeah, and he's basically he has stocks in a hotel chain, La Quinta, and other properties that pay minimal wage, like a few cents more than a minimum wage, and so he's committed to not raising the wage too much. By the way, all these people are millionaires, the people on that list, and it's just so sarcastic and cynic that they would vote against it. It's just appalling. $11, not even in his state, is enough to live on, and you should be no wage where you can work full time and not make a living that you can survive on throughout the year.
But that was not even the lowest bid. I heard also about a bid around $9, and
well, Romney is pushing a $10 bill. But
Yeah.
all of these bills, it's way too little, and just throwing crumbs to people is just outrageous. It's just an ugly phenomenon. And we had Kristen Sinema, who tried to position herself when she was running for office as a radical progressive, and we can see how radical she is. And she says, what's important is whether or not it's directly related to short-term COVID relief. And if it's not, then I'm not going to support it in this legislation, Sinema said. The minimum wage provision is not appropriate for the reconciliation process. It is not a budget item, and it shouldn't be in there. And business groups and Republicans have rejected the $15 minimum wage, arguing small businesses would flounder under the policy, especially during the pandemic. And that argument has been basically...
it is a lie. It is a fucking lie.
It is, and Bernie
so
Sanders has pulled he's just revealed it because he pulled their bluff, because he offered an alternative bill which would incentivize small businesses for the difference in salary, while it would raise taxes or reject some deductions for larger corporations which did not give minimum wage, and that was clearly response to that argument, and they did not go for that, did not like it at all. So it's just a stupid argument. It's a shame that they're even going to it. And we're talking about the bill that's extremely popular. So you can see this is the least of the polls that I've seen. I've seen polls that show as high as over 60% of both parties in support of $15 per hour bill.
Yes, and I think I think a good portion of the 45% who are opposing this, are threatened by the thought, what we saw in the slide earlier, that it would harm business, And as I said last week, we had the same here in Germany a couple of years ago, and it was the same dramatic theater, Everyone was complaining, it would ruin Germany, It's the downfall of Christianity and all bullshit, And what turned out, at least, nothing, because the people, who mostly got out of this, who mostly needed the money raise, what did they? They spent the money. They brought it back into the financial circle. So everyone at least got more out of it.
Sure, and we don't have to go to Europe for examples. We have states that have enforced that, started moving towards a $15 wage, and we don't see drastic changes there. So it's nonsense. And then on top of that, there was a little bit of theatrics on the floor of the Senate, and luckily we got that little clip of Kristen Sinema making a big gesture out of that, just to mock, almost like to mock the progressives or the poor. She did an impersonation of McCain's move on the floor Senate against the bill. Let's watch this.
Miss Sinema.
Yeah, so it's kind of sad. She's at this point completely working for her donors, who do not like to see a $15 minimum wage, and it's just that she's also brought a chocolate cake to the floor of the Senate, and people believe that that's kind of a hint that references Marie Antoinette's statement that if they don't have bread, they should eat cake. I don't know if that is true, if that's what was going on, but it's certainly bad optics. And I hope she pays a political price in 2 years. I can only hope that, because she's no friend of progressives at this point.
Normally at this point, I would say this woman needs competition. But on the other hand, for what? If you see what the competition we have, which we elected so far, are doing.
Yeah, well, she should be primary, so we'll see what happens. And here's another one. Going rates for lobby Congress against $15 federal minimum wage. So $175 an hour, $250 an hour, and $225 an hour. So it's very true, unfortunately. So.
Coming to the shortcuts, coming to Rudy Giuliani's comedy sense, I could not believe it, but he has an own show, it is, and I clicked on it, it was terrible. He calls it common sense, and I call it comedy sense for certain reasons, because he came up with this tweet, and he says, misinformation has become a daily occurrence on social media platforms. If continued unaddressed, it will eventually lead to Jefferson's worst nightmare of a poorly informed citizenry, which he saw as the greatest danger to democracy. Isn't it incredible? Isn't it absolutely crazy? I mean, Rudy Giuliani, right? I mean, well, I don't have no words. It is a satire in a satire in a satire in a satire somehow, but it is not funny anymore. And dude, get new hair. Well, but the next one really blew me away. It really blew me away, and I didn't see this coming. Joe Biden. We talked about this last week. The lacking support of Joe Biden for the Amazon workers right now, and well, he turned out to push for unions. Roll it.
I made it clear when I was running that my administration's policy would be to support unions organizing and the right to collectively bargain. I'm keeping that promise. Every worker should have a free and fair choice to join a union. The law guarantees that choice. And it's your right, not that of an employer. It's your right. No employer can take that right away. So make your voice heard.
They allow these big corporate giants to come in and treat people with no humanity.
Today and over the next few days and weeks, workers in Alabama and all across America are voting on whether to organize a union in their workplace. This is vitally important, a vitally important choice as America grapples with the deadly pandemic, the economic crisis, and the reckoning on race. What it reveals the deep disparities that still exist in our country. And there should be no intimidation, no coercion, no threats, no anti-union propaganda. let me be really clear. It's not up to me to decide whether anyone should join a union. But let me be even more clear. It's not up to an employer to decide that either. The choice to join a union is up to the workers, full stop. Is union power. The Fair Labor Standards Act, passed way back in Roosevelt's day, didn't say we're allowed to have unions. It said the government should promote unions. I've long said America wasn't built by Wall Street. It was built by the middle class, and unions built the middle class. Unions put power in the hands of workers. They level the playing field. They give you a stronger voice for your health, your safety, higher wages, protections from racial discrimination and sexual harassment. Unions lift up workers, both union and non-union, and especially black and brown workers. For the first time in a long time, we're going to start rewarding work, not wealth.
Yeah, and Chile, yes, you're absolutely right. Pro-union in rhetoric only. Yeah, and that's the point, you know. And I talked about with Amos before the show, and I said my impression was, you know, that he could go and support unionization, you know, without naming Amazon directly. But on the other hand, maybe he promised to keep out of the $15 stuff, you know, because this would be the easiest job, you know. It's rhetoric only, you know. You don't have to pass a bill that about unions, etc., you know. But when it comes to the meat on the bone, you know, the $15 thingy, you know, there it goes.
Exactly,
but
and it's not political. It's not. There's nothing to do politically about it. It's just
No.
it's something he can talk about, which is nice.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But you know, if you look at the headline, you know, this shows, you know, how less I personally expect from any one of the Democratic Party, you know, that I'm even surprised about a little piece of silly rhetoric. Anyway, he did it, and maybe I hope Alabama, Amazon, I hope that they will get a union, and show America and show many others, you know, how it is to have the support of a union, and I hope that it would spread, you know. Yeah. Well.
and on another tone, we in New Jersey, well, we have progressives win to celebrate. After some battle over the last couple of years, our governor has fought for legalization or recreational legalization of marijuana in the state of New Jersey. And he has battled the party machine, which first tried to stop it. Eventually there was a referendum. New Jerseyans voted for legalization, and now they've finally passed the bill. So we're now going to have stores and so forth, and we'll see how that works out in terms of social justice or in terms of economic justice. But I think it's a progression, and you know, we should also celebrate some progressive wins. So here it is.
Yes. Cool. Great.
And the next thing is about Como, and well, Como has had trouble recently, not only with the fact that he was to blame for mishandling the nursing homes in terms of COVID, but also trying to cover it up. And on top of that, that prompted women to come out and share their experiences with him, clearly crossing the lines in regards. Yeah.
This gives the term homosexual a really different connotation, right?
That's right. Yeah. So he basically he's told here, Democrats don't tolerate sexual harassment. Your only position is to, and he says, become a Republican.
Yeah.
But essentially, the issue is that he's now in the hot water, and though people liked him in terms of how he handled the COVID in New York State, you can't really avoid, like not address or ignore misconduct where it happens. So it's extremely important to do that, and that is an issue that is now splitting Democrats in the state, because some stand by him and some don't. But there we are. And he says, harassment allegations, does this mean I have to give back my Emmy Award? And the Emmy Award yells at him, get your hands off me.
Yeah. And Melissa H, yeah. Wow, that's a lying cartoon. His only option is to become president.
Yeah,
good one.
That's right. And here's another one. Can I kiss you?
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, this whole thing just blew out of proportion. So there's no, of course, there's a lot of joking about him, about his fall from grace. And here's he contemplating whether he should have ever suggested playing strip poker.
I lately watched the segment with Chris Cuomo and Andrew, in which they made the silly jokes with the Q-tips, for the COVID testing. It was, oh my god. I mean, oh my god. Okay, let's go on.
But this is not a unique thing to the U.S. And here, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist making another one of the horrible puns. But you can't call the one fish and the other full. And this is about two of the main leaders in Scotland, Alex Salmond and Nicola Sturgeon, who were embattled currently. Luckily, they're both fish, so we don't have to call one of them full. But they basically are entangled in their own sexual misconduct controversies and issues. And why is this important? Because those two were the main leaders that were in favor of Scotland's independence. And now that Brexit is gone, it was expected that Scotland pursue that line again, with these two people having serious political obstacles to their future. Nobody knows where things will end in terms of Scotland and independence. So people basically destroy their own their own state's future.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, it will be very interesting what's going on in the United Kingdom.
And we're down to the cartoons.
Yeah, we got some, and you start with the first one, which is great, I think.
I just can't quit you, and we're still laughing at Ted Cruz in Texas, and their support. There's no wonder, because they're keep giving us material. And here's the landing, NASA's landing, and they say bleak, bitter cold, and no drinkable water. And it says, one of them says, "Oh my God, we landed in Texas."
Oh yeah, this is a joke a little bit like in the old Mad tradition.
Yes, yeah, pretty
I like
much.
it. I like it.
But they continue to provide jokes on them, and one of them is because their governor Abbott just completely removed all state regulations concerning COVID.
Who is his lieutenant governor? Costello?
And here's Texas is open again. No masks. CDC go home. Freedom. And you see all the virus flying all around it.
Yeah.
We're open. Come on in, y'all.
And don't forget one thing, you know. The viruses in Texas are bigger because everything is bigger in Texas.
That's
right?
correct. Absolutely. See, we can see one of them making its way. I love it when we're invited to a party. They're going to Mississippi and Texas. Mississippi was
Florida,
the other
right?
country, the other state that reduced regulations.
Yeah.
What's that?
And they forgot Florida.
And
Because
Florida.
what I heard, hotels and bars and restaurants are opened
Yeah.
for the how is it called? I forgot it. The summer for the spring break.
Yes.
The spring break.
Yeah.
And they're also advertising, you know, to be mask free.
Right. And here's the Texans
Yeah.
using 2 masks.
Don't treat on me.
Don't tread on me is the slogan that so many libertarians are using, and here there's the elephant preventing these poor folk from casting their vote.
Yeah. This is very Mussolini-esque, if you ask me.
Yes.
Yes, it was the CPAC.
Yeah, the CPAC.
Incredible. You know, I gotta make a confession here. It's not easy for me. But one day later, I watched the complete speech of Trump on the CPAC. Oh my God! Oh my God! I'm so glad he's out of office. Oh, it was-
Temporarily.
and it remembered in parts of that he was calling now to do harm to certain people who criticized him. He had a kind of list, you know, of people who he felt offended or
Of course.
they were illoyal to him, and wow,
Of course.
scary.
No surprises no one anymore.
No, but scary. It stays.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what's going on here. Like I
Yeah.
said, beware
There's
of
a list.
cancel culture.
Yeah, there's a hit list.
And they're canceling. I believe that's Cheney being tossed into the molten lava.
Let me see. Is there a fly on his hair?
A fly?
No. A fly.
Oh yeah. And here's the "Don't flee from me" sign.
Yeah.
And here's spring fleecing. And it's CPAC's schedule: speech,
And
fleecing,
very
speech,
nicely
fleecing,
drawn.
fleecing, lunch, fleecing.
Trump and Sons fleecing services. Professional, experienced, and dedicated.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
And of course, the sheep feel much better after being fleeced.
Yeah. They are enjoying it.
And here's a comment about the recent revelations that they proved that Mohammed bin Salem was the one behind the killing, which we have known all along, but now it's official. We've known about
Officially,
it.
nothing happens.
And nothing happens, of course. So
Yeah.
And here's Lindell.
Mike. Hi, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of My Pillow. Inviting you to try my latest product, my straitjacket. Woven from silken hair of conspiracy theorists. More comfortable than a QAnon t-shirt. My straitjacket is 100% made in what used to be America. Get yours today.
I wouldn't storm the Capitol without one.
Yeah, MTG. The blonde empty. And there we got 2 innocent cows, you know, on with masks, you know, as it should be, you know, and there's a thousand of little shit flies, you know, spreading rumors.
Yeah, they're trying to avoid any of the shit piles.
Yeah. Damn, that's it. We're through. Cool. I hope you guys liked it, and it was fun for us. For me, it was. I hope you also had fun, Amos.
Of course.
And well, we, as you know, we started. You know, we won't do this every show, of course not. But I think we cannot go out, you know,
without torture you one more time.
No. Come on. Let's take it like a little glimpse into maybe a brighter future with a little bit more funny sounds in it, you know, more, yeah, not what we heard before, what we listened to before. Yeah, let's have a take. And before we go, thank you, Amos, for being with me.
Thanks, Marcus.
Great card, great opening card, by the way. This was a guy who made it, Amos. Wonderful, I loved it. And thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back with us next week on Saturday. And be careful, be safe at home if you can. You know, avoid the virus, avoid Texas, avoid any place, you know, you can get infected, and don't stress yourself, you know, and enjoy yourself. Hope that you have a great weekend, and see you next week.
Please don't forget to share the show, and we're going to take you out with another piece of torture. I don't know why they called it polka national anthem, because
we'll hear it. Why?
No, but it's more cabaret style. But let's hear it.
Okay. maybe they don't know what polka is. Maybe I don't have a clue. But the only thing I can say is it sounds much better than what we saw at the beginning.
Let's roll.
All right. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes